So why don't you normally use the 60? And just treat this like normal. I just kind of get clips out of these.
Primarily, I think so I don't use it for full shots. Really, no ifs, ands, I mean, unless I'm trying to go over something.
Yeah, agreed.
I just think the inconsistency with it. Also, like for this, I have a little bit of green to work with. So for me, I feel like I can bump and run this a little bit more.
Okay.
So I think there's less room for error if I'm doing that versus trying to get it up into the air.
What if I moved it to this other spot? Okay, we're gonna move it to that spot for the purpose of go right here. All right. So, but normally, like you just always stick with the 56 for the most part, unless you need to stop it quicker.
Correct.
Cool. All right, let's go ahead and see this one here. Just whatever you would normally do in this situation. Is that about like standard in terms of like stopping power?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Unless I do try to completely, get it up in the air and try to flop it.
And like it's only going to stop faster unless you get it higher, not like,
correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Which to me, this feels like more of room for air. So that's why I typically don't do that.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
But even then, I mean, you can still see it running.
So like, let me try something here. Like go about this how I would normally go about it. So like I'm thinking something more like not flopping it, but oh well, that was like the worst bounce possible.
I see more stoppage there.
Where like I kind of tossed that up a little bit, but I didn't necessarily like flip it crazy. So if you come over here, like it's not crazy different than how you swing. Like stand on this side of me. So what we were talking about the other day is it's one, I'm getting like a little bit lower, and then I'm letting it get really close to that front thigh. And then the more I want it open, the more I just open my stance. But even for this one, all I'm going to do is just barely open it. And hands go forward. And it's really just like the steepness.
Now, I need to clarify is we were talking about I'm coming a little more inside here.
Correct.
You're saying to get to that steepness, I need to be out here a little bit more. Is that correct?
And kind of what it is, it's not so much like coming out this way, as much as we're setting up to hit like a slice across the ball, okay, that it's a lot easier to generate spin sideways than it is to generate it going backwards.
See, because I'm only picturing
back,
hitting down on it and it's spinning back.
Correct. In that, unless we swing harder, is hard to like, because the only way we create more backspin is by swinging harder. Because even if we open it up, that's not really creating a ton more backspin. It's just like making it go higher. While this, now I'm spinning up, basically like I am cutting across the ball, and not only is it spinning back, but it's also spinning sideways.
So down and across is creating the spin.
Correct.
Back and side.
And then just like the gentleness of it, of just the fact that I'm not just going like crazy after it. And you can see the way I finish, that I'm finishing over here. And like granted, I tried to put like a good amount of spin on that, but it's really just like soft hands and just bounce across. And we're letting like just this little section right here create the bounce. Okay. That it's like none of this edge over here is really touching. It's all just right here. And it's just
me being lower here closer to my front leg really does
takes
that angle of where you said I want to be hitting it. Right?
Correct. Because you almost want the toe up off the ground just a little bit, like not a ton, but where you can see there's like the tiniest little gap. And then you're trying to like see, and then I'm coming right into just that portion. And that's all it is. And then you don't take a divot because it just bounces off the ground. Okay. So take like a couple practice swings with that. You don't need to try to get like crazy steep right off the bat. Because like if you're talking crazy steep, like you're talking about going like way out here, and like we don't need to do all that. Just like that. And even just like the more, like the shorter of the backswing and just like more of a follow through, you're kind of just like flipping the ball. and just all about just soft hands. And that one was even a little inside of like, let that left foot come back a little bit and just let it come across.
So this foot, you're saying I'll open up a little more?
Because it's basically like if you were to be trying to hit a big slice, you open this up and you're coming across like this, but we're just sliding across the ball.
So here, and you're saying...
Yeah, feel like you're starting to come out this way. And you're just trying to deliver directly like...
Here, you're saying? To pull back?
Yeah, let me put a couple balls out here. So we're trying to kind of follow like this line here of like where we're going with it.
Oh, so I'm way out there, you're saying? Either.
Yeah, and it's like, so when I'm coming across, like I'm coming all the way out to like here.
Okay.
And then I'm coming like right like across my front foot. And just slow. And that's why it's just as slow as you can go. That took a weird bounce, but you could just see like it had that low spin run to it. Better. And just like as you get confident with it, you'll start getting more like across at it and really slidey, and just let your hands like finish where you're almost like beside you.
Now, the ball positioning, I know we talked earlier about being back, you know, lean and tilt.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been my understanding that if I'm bumping and running the ball's to the back of my right foot.
Correct.
If I'm trying to get it up in the air higher and to stop, it's more closer to the center or even closer to my front foot. Is that not applied?
No, that's a perfect question, because we're not trying to hit the ball high right now. The goal is actually really to hit it as low as we can while spinning it. Okay. So the issue of if we get it too far up is that then we're starting to come in the upward motion as we get to it. We want to be catching it. I kind of don't have it quite all the way to the back, but somewhere like probably just right of middle. Okay. To where you're catching it just as you're getting like, you want to catch it right at the bottom. Okay. So all it is just going right under it.
All right. See, then I guess that's also part of some of my stopping power problem too, is I'm so used to thinking, hey, if I'm trying to stop it, I need to be up forward here, have it go higher like
correct
just a minute ago.
Because like now it's more about like controlling it with spin rather than controlling it with height. Better.
And that didn't go very high, so.
No. And then to add more to it is if you take that same swing and go slower, because there's like two ways if we talk about just throwing a golf ball of if it's just like tossing a cornhole. You're never like slinging the cornhole at it. You're just like how softly can I land it, compared to if I'm trying to like spin it like that. It's just more room for error. Yeah. That we're just trying to, here, let me hit another one for you to kind of show you. Of like, there's not a lot of forward momentum. It's just like I'm trying to get the ball to also land soft. And by swinging soft, it's going to land a little softer because we just don't want the ball rocketing forward. We want it to like go and also just move at a very slow rate.
So you're saying slowing down my swing is
like we want
part of what we're doing, where I'm so used to thinking that I have to almost flop it. I hate to keep using that term.
Correct. No, you're good.
It feels that way. Like that's what I feel like I'm trying to do mentally.
Because the way that we like impart spin on it is like the spin loft thing that I was telling you about, of all it is a measure of attack angle. So that's like how steep we are, okay. The dynamic loft, and that's how we produce spin. So like instead of, it has nothing to do with how fast I'm swinging it. All it comes down to is how steep I'm coming at it and how like what loft I've given the club. Because we're just generating the spin of just trying to gently land it. Because the gentler it lands, the less you even need the spin. Because we don't need to impart spin on it. We just need it to land soft and stop.
So I'm fine even here.
Correct. And see just how that just so gracefully just landed on the green.
Yeah, and I felt a big speed difference on that compared to what I had been doing in the past few shots.
Yeah, like if I were to be standing over here and radar that golf ball was moving at a slower miles per hour than the one prior was.
I could feel it. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like I was almost in slow-mo on that section of it.
There it is. That one you put some sauce on it.
Okay.
And that's where you've got the two different shots. That's where it's trying to there's two different ways to do it. Like you can either try to spin it harder, which obviously puts a little bit more room for error because you're having to put a little bit more oomph into the swing, or you try to land it softly, or a combination of the two. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. It's you pick it shot to shot of when you need it. And I pretty much, even when we're talking about generic shots, if we were going to that flag we originally started at, I'm still doing something similar. It's just not as open, and it's more about just tossing it over there. And I'm less trying to put spin on that, because the more you try to spin the ball, obviously the more room you can mess it up.
I know we're not going at that hole, but right now, if you were to take that shot, you would be flying it and trying to stop it versus bumping and running. Is that?
And I'll hit one for you to kind of show you. I'm not going to bump it because I think I don't have as much control that way. But I'm probably going to try to land it about where those two balls are on the right and let it just kind of gracefully land and roll over there. Oh, that's really all. Because that, I didn't put a ton of spin on it. I just gently tossed it over there and it settles over. Compared to, I feel like whenever I try to chip it, there's just a lot more ways, because I can do this too. I feel like there's a lot more variables in how I control that. That still turned out pretty good too, but I think the playing for the bounce and how much it releases is a little harder than I know if I toss it over there, approximately how far that's going to roll every time, and then there's no real factor to it. And there's no risk of me landing on the fringe or landing on the ridge. It just lands and kind of just tosses over.
Okay.
I
guess I'm stuck in that, to be truthful, just that old man golf of, and I don't mean this to sound that way.
Oh, no.
Just that's primarily what I've learned. It's just that I have room to work with. I have green to work with. Why wouldn't I work with that?
Oh yeah, and I think that works too. I think there's just different ways of doing it. As you get comfortable with this shot, it becomes, I think, easier. But I always look at it as how would I toss it over there, and I'd be throwing it. Well, that reason was too much. But gently landing it is something like that. Because I don't.
And then the variables of what's going to roll out is a lot more tough to control than if I was to try to bump it.
Correct. Because I don't think there's very often that I'd try if I were to throw that golf ball over there, that I'd try rolling it across the ground. Sure. And don't get me wrong, it works. But I think in terms of as a better player, I think that gives you just a more predictable shot time to time. Okay. And once you get comfortable with this, it's easy.
And I'm going to try over to that direction.
Go for it.
See, and that's the other part of it, is this distance control that when you were talking about why would you do, you know what I mean? When we were talking about what would you do to get to that, to me, I'm able to I feel like I have more distance control bumping it, hitting it and letting it run out than to worry about me either blading it or coming up super short or way too long on trying to get it over there.
And that's a totally fair reason to do it that way too. That was just a little too much, but this just comes with feel, yeah, because that was more closer to your stock shot.
Yeah, that felt really fast. I can feel that.
Better. Still just a little too hard, but look how much you could see it just grab so much better.
Yeah.
And you didn't even really put a zip on, you didn't come slashing across with the golf ball to do that.
I think the speed control with this is probably what I'll have to work on.
Yeah.
More than anything, because mentally I'm so used to opening up that face and wanting to be
Zips.
Let's speed up.
Yeah. Because what I like about whenever we do it this way is no matter how hard or how steep I come at the ground, it doesn't dig. It just always bounces. Yeah, and then like if I even have this just kind of square, like if I don't hit it perfectly, it's just straight into the ground.
Or it could dig in.
Correct. And like this just like it takes out that other variable of like
a nice variable not to worry about. And chances of duffing it as well should go down too.
Correct. And I mean like all the times you've played with me, I don't ever really chunk like these shots. Like maybe a thin one now and again, but like if you're really like making sure you're getting down and like smacking the bounce, you shouldn't ever really hit it thin.
That makes sense. That or the chipper.
Or the chipper. Ooh.
Okay.
And that was the gentle like toss.
That felt like that. But you're right as far as digging in. I mean, I've been hitting here and I can kind of see where I've been hitting, but if I had walked up, I wouldn't be able to tell where I had been hitting.
No, it's really like you're just scuffing the ground.
Correct. That makes sense.
Okay. But you're getting you're getting steep, but you're not digging, which everybody thinks is what happens.
So it's still out this way and back across. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
And just the more you come across, the more you just add to it. Oh, there's the low one. Look at that. That was the best one so far. That was the low spinner with the toss combination of where it just like that one landed gently and just like, okay, I'll chill now.
Yeah, I think it's the speed that I need to work on and just have that feeling of it doesn't have to be so fast. And then, so from what I've taken from it is the speed, number one for me, and then dropping this down and, you know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah, you let the hands get low. And then like if you're really trying to flop one, like you just get even wider and lower.
Yeah, I noticed that honestly from one of the first times I ever played with you, how, you know what I mean, on that stuff.
And that's like if you watch John Rahm, like he probably has the lowest hands of like anybody. Oh, there it is. But this just comes with feel and kind of manipulating and screwing around with it. Like if I were to go to that, I'll hit one of that back one over there. Okay. So like probably not a lot different than that original one. This one I think is tough because there's so much movement here. Is that if you roll that, one, you have to hope you land in the right spot and it hits the right brakes. But like I think I can just fly that most of the way there. Yeah, and like it's just because it was almost the same exact rollout as the one over here. Granted, like the part of it that's still hard is you have to get the distances and the feels down how to hit that. But it's just like there wasn't much to that, so it was just yeah, go for it. And just literally don't ever speed up. Just take a bigger swing.
Don't speed up because of distance, you're saying?
Correct. Just larger swing. Like that.
But I still feel like even though that didn't stop, it didn't run out. I mean, it ran out, but for me, I typically run out even more than that.
Right.
Lately, I have been for sure.
And you landed on a downslope.
Yeah.
And I mean, you didn't put a lot of, that was the gentle toss. Like, I don't think you need to try to spin the hell out of it when you're sending it all the way, when you have that much green to work with, because it still does add room for error in variables of just like, the more spin you have, the more the ball wants to go up and not like go towards the target. Yep. Correct.
Yeah, I felt that. But again, I still didn't create a big divot.
No. And it's basically like the feel to me is like I almost like have no force, that it's almost just maybe like the gravity plus 10% just like correct. Because like the club has some mass to it and like you're like it'll move the ball that far. So, and then this is where you add the other variable to it is how you flight the ball up and down. That time, what's important is that our hands stay ahead of it up here. And this is a hesitation move, is whenever your hands come back and you let the club head start catching up to your hands, then you add loft in a way that like you don't intend to. You're adding loft this way rather than adding loft that way. So that's when you get kind of that weak little floater where it's like, oh, that didn't feel like the way it flew. So like when you're hitting the really confident ones, those hands stay forward, and that's what keeps the ball low. But then the spin is created by the sideways action, and that's what keeps the ball low and gets me that more like cutting flight where it just goes straight to it instead of like the floater. And then there's the gentle toss and it comes down to where you finish too. If you finish down here rather than up here, that's also going to adjust the flight. Oh, there you go.
But that's also coming in with my body.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Letting my body do this, which would keep my hands ahead of this, right?
Correct. Okay. And like that was great. I'd take that all day.
Yeah, I have a chance
of
to
like
that far.
That's about 25, 30 feet from here, and like you put it to about 34 feet, I'd take that. Okay. Like, could you be closer? Yeah, but like I think on average that'd be a good place to be. And that was just the high finish.
I see.
Come around a little lower where it's coming like staying at your belt height.
Because I was up here.
Correct.
And you're saying here.
A little lower, yeah.
Okay.
And that also adds to that across the ball spin when we're moving to the left. The club is moving to the left. It's all right. It got a tiny bit quick.
It got lower.
And what I love about this is it's so much of an art that it's just like you sit here and just look around with just different ways of doing it. You're like, what happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? And like you just keep kind of screwing around with it. And that's how like you come up with a million different shots of you get to these weird positions and you know like how to hit that shot. There you go. Better.
Those are much better flights and stopping than what I've done.
And let me pause the video and I'm gonna move us to a different spot. All right, so this is one of my favorite shots to work on because this is like the Wellshire special right here. And I feel like we can get even worse than this on the course. Is this spot where you're like kind of in the rough and you're definitely like too far in a spot to putt. And this is where we get low. I'm gonna have you stand on this side of me just so you can kind of get a better angle. And like this is where I talk about this is where we're getting low. And like this is I'm used to the pin being like right here in this spot where you have almost nothing to work with. And this is where we're getting wider and lower and still not fast. And it's just that, yeah. And like I almost put no spin on that. The point was to like kill the ball speed by just opening the face up and getting it so low and then just slide.
I could see Titleist basically the whole word without spinning.
Oh yeah, that it was a floater. It was just floating to the hole, no speed. Yeah. So go ahead and give that a shot.
Yeah, that's a serious shot.
Because like you kind of basically describe that to somebody and you're like, we're gonna lay the club all the way flat and I'm just gonna flip under the ball, and it sounds like it's gonna be some super high risk shot, but like you're not moving very quickly. Get a little wider and a little lower. There you go. And just as gentle as you can, soften up the grip, just slide under it. That's it.
Yeah. That is something else because it doesn't seem like it's enough to do much, but
I'm
not doing much.
I feel like when people see me hit that shot, that it's this impressive shot that looks so hard, but like it's not hard, it's just knowing how to do it.
It does feel awkward as hell, like getting this.
Oh, for sure. The fact that you're just like, you're squatting down here and like, I can get even more dramatic with it.
Yeah. And that's still, am I still trying to hit this
Yeah.
This is what's hitting the ground of my bounce.
You almost feel like you got this little piece back here. It almost feels like that part's hitting it. Okay. That you're almost just like, you're trying to just kind of just sweep. Yeah,
right? I'm resting that down. That's what
correct.
I'm leaning on.
And then you get your hands just a little forward, so you kind of take some of the so you don't expose as much of the leading edge, okay. And you feel like you're just trying to swipe under the ball. Okay. And that wasn't even perfectly struck, but that's pretty good compared to what a lot of people do.
I was watching. I mean, I could see the Titleist and the lines. It didn't move
just
at all.
Moving.
Yeah, I mean, it barely moved. All right. I like that shot. That feels fine.
It's one of those shots that it's like, oh, I just need you to be taught. There's nothing more to it.
But that's opening. I mean, I know we're talking about opening this here, but I'm talking about, am I opening this up too, right?
Yeah, you can get even wider because you're just allowing the club to go more this way, to go more across your body.
Now, opening up, does that help me get out more?
Correct. Naturally, just you're going to be working away from it, because if I go this way, I can't really go this way.
This is almost, okay.
Correct. You've blocked yourself with the way you've set up.
That has to spin.
Yep, and that was maybe even a little fast.
Okay.
Granted, this isn't a foolproof shot where it's 100% of the time, but that's still solid.
I was going to say, yeah, that's still, I'm happy with that. And that gives me a chance to putt and make it. So with hands down.
Yep, and just as light as you can hold on to the club, the better. There it is.
Get in. Get in. You dog.
Sweet.
I think I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so that gives me something to work out on my short game.
Mm-hmm.
Outside, opening up.
A shot to over there is almost no different. I'll hit that shot real quick too.
Yeah, because I'm watching you stop stuff this far.
Because I'm still setting up pretty similarly. I'm not laying it way open. It's just, I kind of thin that, but it's literally just the same shot, just larger.
Running. Whereas before, I would have my 56, and I would be trying to land just basically on the other side of that rake.
Correct.
Because I was not worried about it, but that was the shot that I was playing.
Oh, that got a little too gentle with it. Yeah. And that's but usually it's just lead with that part, and I try to get a little bit more aggressive. This is as much the gentle toss, but as much as inflicting a decent amount of spin. Okay. But I'm never for these ones, I'm not hitting very many where I'm going way across at it, because that's just very unpredictable to try to from this distance. But if it was edge of the green, you could probably get a little bit more open with it, and just leave everything else the same and try to do it that way. They're all, once you get to this distance, they all just get funky, but it's just the more you practice them, the more you found they get easier.
Okay. Thanks for showing me those.
For sure.